My position is a transfer visiting exchange fellow at Vassar College, and pretty much the position entails being a student fellow and doing everything that a student fellow does here. But at the same time, I'm a student fellow for the transfer visiting exchange students, and these students need different attention than the other students because my job is to pretty much get them to adjust to Vassar culturally, and also for a lot of them to American culture, and to Vassar, to specifically Vassar American culture.
The majority of my friends are American. I mean, they're just the people that I have in my fellow group, to be honest. And I do have international friends still from like international orientation, but I mean, I don't associate more with international or American friends. I've always had American and international friends, so I don't differentiate.
The composition of race and nationality, my friends. It depends how you define friends, huh? I don't know. Good mix of both.
I think that, well, for instance, I do have a lot of Turkish girls in my group, and I have noticed, and I've actually hung out with other Turkish people on campus because those Turkish girls have introduced me to them, and I noticed that they actually have found a Turkish community on campus, and they do like to hang out, even with Turkish. I met a Turkish senior because of them. So I definitely think that there is that sense of community with the international students.
Because there's usually a division between like the international students who stick to the international students as their core, I guess, peer group, and then there are those who sort of scatter and break away from the fold. Because what happens is you have the international student orientation 3 days roughly before the regular students orientation, and that, for better and for worse, gives you a one-up over the other students where you already have an established potential peer group, or that you already know some people, which is why all the internationals at least know each other or know about each other, and some become friends. And
I guess when my students came, they were already pretty comfortable here. They seemed very open and outgoing, but I definitely have noticed that they that there has been somewhat of a transition, and mostly that entails their confidence on a social level. I've noticed that they're much more confident and I guess more in themselves, and I noticed them not thinking about a situation as much.
It's like the different mindsets of the Americans here and maybe some of the people that I like hung out with my friends where I was before, because I just think every nation, every group of people has a different way of seeing the world, different way of interacting with other people, and Americans are generally, in my opinion, less willing to like open up to talk about things that I don't know, might be difficult to talk about. So I find it more difficult to really build a deep friendship here, but I think that might also change with time.
right, as long as you play by the rules, if you conform in very subtle ways, because it's not do this or die, it's do this because you want to do this, right? Succeed because you want to succeed, be successful, be a good student, work hard, and make a difference, make a change, be different, alternative, sustainable, and which are a lot of them in and of themselves often good things. And that's the thing, because when you take all these things and you isolate them as factors, they become really good things to live by, like diligence, like kindness, or sustainability, and those sort of things. And when you put it together as cohesive whole, there's a whole thing that you adapt to, because the question is, if you ask, say, what does it mean to be American? It's like saying, what does it mean to be modern? What does it mean to be male? And you don't have the clear boundaries, the clear demarcation that says, oh, this is what I am, this is what makes. You don't have the clear definitions that say, this is what a modern person is. This is what an American is. But you look at the person and you say, oh, this is a white person. This is a modern person. This is a non-modern person. This is a traditional, backwards, primitive person. And so in a sense, that's a kind of, and that's where the subtlety is that you have that gradual shift from a certain kind of way of being, and as you conform to these ways of being, as you change yourselves, as you change your directions, your goals, your perspectives, and what you lose is those other things that you forget, that you leave behind, and a lot of them, and some of these things we know, you know when you slow down and you look at the things that mattered when we were children, as opposed to the things that matter to us now. And that's a hint as to the kind of things that you lose when you enter a different culture. Because in a sense, what happens often, I guess you move from a childish culture or a culture of children to a culture of independent working adult and self-supporting, right? And what you lose in that, well, that takes remembering, that takes a certain amount of holding on to and going back. So a better way to ask is, a better thing to ask is what have I lost in coming here? What are the parts of me that don't exist anymore as I enter this space? Because 如果我在这边讲中文没有人
However, I did have one fellowee who's actually not here at Vassar anymore, and he was originally from Zambia. I didn't see him very much. I knew he was very much into his studies. He was studying physics, I think. But eventually I stopped seeing him for a while, even though I wasn't seeing him very much before. So it didn't really shock me at all, and I didn't really think much about it. And then a couple months later, I was talking to some of my other fellowees, and they were talking about how this student left. And I was really confused because I had no idea he left, and I got no notification from him or from the admissions department or from any other department on campus. So I had no idea that he left, and I was talking to my fellowees about it, and they said that he had approached them and was asking them about life at Vassar and how he was actually really shocked that Vassar had such a strong gay community on campus, and that he was uncomfortable, and he said that he was uncomfortable with that. So possibly being from Africa, it's not as accepted either. So I guess there's kind of that international shock.
I mean, the nature of American society is that it makes it easy to adapt as long as you become one of them.
When I think of my identity, I don't think Swiss. I think I have like Swiss passport, have lived there, but haven't lived there for 13 years, haven't lived there since I was 6. So I identify just as much with Chinese culture, where I spent 4 years in China, I spent 4 years in Scotland, I spent 4 years in Qatar, and I've been in American schools for long periods of time, and I've had a lot of interaction with Dutch people. My dad worked for Shell. I don't create a picket fence around my identity I don't create a picket fence around my Swiss identity. I'm willing to take the good things from that, which I'm proud of, but I'm also willing to take certain aspects of other cultures that I've interacted with. And like the fact that I'm here in the US and that I didn't go to university in Switzerland, like I think shows that. But like if someone asks me where my home is, like I really don't know how to answer that, because we don't, like my family doesn't own a house anywhere. I mean, when I go home, it could mean going home to China to see my parents, it could mean going to Switzerland to see my grandparents, or it could be going, like next week I'm going to Texas where almost all my friends live. Like I hope to keep like moving. I don't think I'm going to stay in the States at this point. Like that's the way I feel. But I'm definitely willing to try something new. I've never lived in South America. That would interest me. Or maybe, I mean, I have, as a Swiss citizen, a male Swiss citizen, I have to serve in the military. If I don't move back, I don't have an official residence in Switzerland until I'm 28, I don't have to do it. But it just becomes such an essential part of society. Like there's this guy, I forget his name, John McPhee, he wrote a book on the Swiss Army, and it's like Switzerland doesn't have an army, Switzerland like is an army. It's like everyone has like a rank, everyone has a gun. And it's a very peaceful country. But this is, in essence, a big part of it. So while I could get out of it, yes, I don't know if I want to. And it's something that you keep going back every year, every 2 years, you have to go back for 2 weeks and just serve with your like little platoon or whatever it's called. So it's just, it's part of Swiss identity. So I don't know, like I really don't, I'm a bit conflicted about what I want to do. Since I didn't pretty much have to come to the US, like I didn't really have much of a choice, I think this was definitely a good like step. But I think Vassar students, Vassar faculty are very open to like international students, international ideas in comparison to other places. Be aware that while Vassar is an open environment, like sometimes you do feel that you're not an American simply because like the things that are talked about. I mean, it sounds stupid, but like TV shows, food products, like I don't know, just some parts of like popular culture and culture that you just don't get exposed to even if you go to an American school your entire life.
It's hard to speak into other people's experiences, right? I guess you could say there's at least as much to be valued in your home culture.
Be aware that you will live in like a microcosm of the United States. You will not be in the United States, like on a large scale.
Yeah. Have fun. Climb trees. Play a lot of football.
Soccer.
Don't be an econ major. Just kidding. Oh, don't be just an econ major. How about that?
There you go.
Don't be just an econ major.